Boxing King Media in association with Box Raw. Dmitry Salita, all the way from the States. Appreciate you giving me some time today, Dmitry. You enjoying the cold out there?
Trying to stay warm. Yes, enjoying the weather. A little snow. Don't like it when it's dark, but I like some snow. But it's
Good,
all good.
good
Boxing's
man.
keeping me warm.
Is it? Well, hopefully there's some news developing that's been developing in the UK, and hopefully that's keeping you warm and excited. So I'll actually start with that as well. About 3 4 days ago, Eddie Hearn did an interview, and in that interview suggested that within the next 48 hours, which would have been a couple of days ago, that he was going to tie up a deal for Anthony Joshua's next opponent. Nobody really knew who it was going to be. Everyone was suggesting Dempsey McKean. However, a national newspaper broke a story a couple of days ago saying your guy, Jermaine Franklin, is the man. So uh, it's obviously you're probably not going to be able to say too much, but are talks ongoing?
I'm just trying to formulate so that it's proper. Um,
So I'll just give me the
they've,
facts. What
yeah,
that's
I get it.
basically
No,
what's
so
happening.
on Friday, I started getting lots of calls and texts and emails about that story, and people were hitting me up. Is Jermaine fighting Joshua? But not much has happened officially. I spoke to Matchroom about Otto and about Jermaine earlier in the week, but there's been no news since that news broke in the UK. There's been no real news on the ground here. Nothing official has happened, um, and Jermaine's camp has called me as well, and they're thinking about it if it does happen, and if it is official. Um, Obviously, Otto Whalen wants to fight as well, and he's been in the mix of names as well from what Matchroom has told me. So as soon as there's something official, I'm sure the people will know about it, and it'll be interesting to see if one of those fights can happen.
Uh, and I know you can't say too much, but a size of that magnitude, it's not going to be easy to make. There's probably a lot of things contractually that have to be put in place. So surely if Eddie Hearn's saying that it's going to be done in 48 hours or they're going to conclude in 48 hours, um, surely you're having advanced talks if two of your guys are, potentially in the mix to fight him.
So I don't know if the 48 hours started today
He's
or a couple
he,
hours ago.
but he should have ended a couple of days ago from what
Oh, it should have ended. So
yeah.
I don't look at all the interviews.
Mm.
I mean, I told you where things stand here with my fighters. I you know I personally don't like to talk about fights and things getting done publicly. I know some people's style is to negotiate and do things publicly. I only do it when I have to. With that being said, nothing official has really come our way, so that's the truth. Um, and if it does, I think that it won't take a long time to get it done.
Do you have a preference? If obviously you got two heavyweights and easily one of them could fight AJ, do you have a preference who you'd want to take that fight?
I you know I uh, it's a great honor for me to represent two of the best. I feel like top 10 heavyweights in the world. Yesterday they had the Stefan Shaw fight and Ajagbe. It's actually the Ajagbe fight because he won. And they had a top 10 heavyweights, and both Otto and Jermaine won the top 10 list, which is pretty incredible. And which is I'm very happy and grateful for because both of these guys, when I signed them, no one knew who they were. So, I'm very grateful that, relatively speaking, in a short period of time, we represent some of the best fighters in the world. In a way, and the heavyweight division is really, in a way, the king of boxing. Um, and both of these guys are very capable, and both of them scored impressive upsets, really, and both kind of very similar stories. Otto Whalen gave Tyson Fury the toughest fight of his career. Many felt that he won, didn't get the decision, and Jermaine Franklin, I mean, really beat Dillian White, didn't get a decision. So both of these guys are are legitimate top 10 bona fide guys. Otto's kind of the third wheel, I feel like, with Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. And the conversation with for the fight with Otto with Anthony Joshua have been ongoing for a long time, uh, probably for 3 or 4 months, on and off, ever since the fight with Usyk. But I feel like the change of trainers and the different things. And I really don't think that Joshua, from what I can tell, I don't think that Joshua wants to fight Otto. I don't think that he feels comfortable with Cotto's style and what he brings to the table. And I mean, I get it, but at the same time, first of all, Anthony Joshua is a very good fighter, one of the best heavyweights of this generation. But he did lose to Usyk twice, and and Eddie did a good job associating him with big names like Tyson Fury in December and Deontay Wilder. But when you speak like that, there's some responsibility to live up to those words and to make sure that Anthony Joshua fights a legitimate opponent, not just celebrity boxing, because Anthony Joshua is a celebrity, and whoever he would fight would probably draw some interest. But for Anthony to consider himself an elite heavyweight, he has to beat a bona fide contender. And I feel like both Otto and Jermaine have the resume to be that. Probably Otto a little more extensive because of his longevity. But Jermaine, on the other hand, is a young guy that just came onto the scene, very hungry, and wanting to make a splash and wanting to make a big name for himself. So as you've seen, he's been very hungry and showed his hunger in the fight with Dillian Whyte. Now he would obviously have more time to prepare, going from one big fight to the next, and being in the UK, having that experience is really tremendous. So I feel like both guys are a real threat, live dogs in that fight.
Based on what was reported in the paper, and then also based on what Eddie Hearn said after the fight with Whyte, I think initially he suggested that AJ would fight the winner, but he did also say, based on the way the fight unfolded, Franklin could be a potential prospect as well. So if we go down the assumption that it is Jermaine Franklin, compared to the Whyte fight, how do you see Jermaine Franklin versus AJ unfolding? Is it an easier fight? Is it a more difficult fight? What challenges do you think AJ brings that Dillian Whyte may or may not have brought?
It's a bit of a different style, and I think with Dillian Whyte there was some element of surprise. I believe that Dillian thought it was going to be an easy fight. At the public workout when Jermaine was, I know Jermaine for many years, even before I signed him. I followed him, came to see him train. I mean, I know Jermaine, and I know my boxing. And I say this I just say this as a matter of fact. So at the public workout, two days before the fight, someone from Matchroom came to me and said, "Man, Jermaine looks terrible, man. Do you think he lasts a couple of rounds?" I said, "Don't worry, man. This is like, because I know the guy."
A lot of people said that, mainly down to his physical appearance.
Yeah. Oh, you know this. So a lot of people said it to you too.
People were saying in the media, and obviously
Yeah.
I've not seen much of Jermaine, so a lot of people were saying that.
Yeah, no, he was in the past. He was just going through the motions, nothing spectacular. And people were like, "Man, Dillian Whyte, like one of the best heavyweights in the world, and this young kid from America, is he gonna last around?" So don't worry, man. Because I know what I'm dealing with, and sure enough, come fight night, he won the first round, and and in my opinion, probably won 10 or 9 out of those 12 rounds. And being out of the ring, he wasn't too busy. Over the last COVID and coming out, he had a fight in May. Didn't have really a long period of time to prepare for the fight. With Dillian Whyte, to put on that performance was very impressive, and he cemented himself as an elite heavyweight. So Jermaine definitely deserved it. Before this week, I feel like a rematch with Dillian Whyte would have been appropriate. I think that's a great big fight, and I think that Dillian has got a lot to prove. Like coming off now, this Dillian Whyte fighting Anthony Joshua in the summer, to me that doesn't say anything. It doesn't. It's not a statement by Anthony Joshua. Celebrity boxing, because both of the guys are big names, and it's celebrity boxing.
So you're saying Anthony Joshua versus Dillian Whyte is like a celebrity fight?
It's like Floyd Mayweather versus Conor McGregor. It's like Floyd Mayweather fighting Manny Pacquiao now. It's two very good fighters at some point in time, but the fact that they're fighting each other today, Dillian Whyte is like what 1-4, 1-3, or and it's like 1 win and 3 losses. And if you count Jermaine's fight, which was which was just the mercy of the judges, he should really be counted as a loss. So, and he got stopped. So I mean, he's a big name, and I I think Dillian has it in him, maybe for one more fight, but he needs to fight someone like a Jermaine, maybe an Otto Whalen, someone real, not a Dempsey type of guy, just a real guy. People can say, okay, you know what, Dillian still got to get fight, and then his fight with Joshua will be meaningful. Speaking purely as a boxing fan, to me, uh, today, Dillian White versus Anthony Joshua it is a big event. It's not a big fight. Maybe it's a big event. It's not a big fight based on athletic performance.
How do you see Franklin versus AJ unfolding?
Um, Interesting. I don't know.
Big size
I
difference.
a big size difference, right? Yeah. I don't know how much um what effect mentally these last two fights have had on AJ, but I do think that AJ has good footwork, and he's a different style than Dillian White. Dillian in a fight with Jermaine was kind of plotting, wide punches, um, fought on spurts, didn't use his jab, had a kind of a cross arm type of style. I think Anthony Joshua is completely of a different style. He, uses his legs, and Jermaine is going to have to bring a different game as well.
Is it a
Jermaine
harder
does
fight?
that.
Is it a harder fight than Dillian White?
Yes, I think it's a harder fight than Dillian White. Yes, for sure. But Jermaine has shown the ability to step up to the plate and raise to the occasion, and it's a big test for him. He's thinking about it. He hasn't gotten the offer yet. I mean, officially, but he just, so he didn't say yes or no yet. And it is a tremendous opportunity, obviously. But Jermaine has had a big amateur career, um, for a heavyweight, a significant amateur career, has had a good professional career, has participated in big fights. So uh, I think Jermaine has all the tools to give Anthony Joshua a real test.
When do you think we would, like, from your end, know whether he's fighting one of your fighters? Are we talking? Have you got like a deadline in mind? Would you like to have something? Because the date they've given is April 1st. That's the concrete date AJ is going to fight next. So, but what, 3 months away? Surely you'd want your fighter to be, have enough.
Yeah, but to me, a week, 2 weeks don't really make a difference. But
Mhm.
I think that Anthony Joshua is kind of, or that whole team Matchroom is kind of under pressure to, well, not, I don't know, maybe under pressure is not the right word, but they are the ones that have to make the fight and announce it, because it obviously needs to be promoted, and especially if Fury is fighting Usyk around that same time. I think Joe Joyce is fighting around that same time. You need to brand yourself, and and fight a legitimate guy, so that you can say that I belong with all these fighters. And Deontay Wilder is fighting around that same time. So all of these great heavyweights are going to be fighting, and Deontay Wilder fought Helenius after he got, kind of after that brutal fight with Tyson Fury. He showed that, what, I want to be elite again. So he fought a tough guy, top 10 guy. He was coming off a win over Adam Konaki. Um, I believe Malik Scott did a great job on Deontay Wilder, and psychologically and physically has helped rebuild him. And look, he's fighting in a second fight back. He's fighting Andy Ruiz. That's a big fight, man. That's a real fight. So respect to Deontay Wilder and to Malik Scott for believing in this man and taking on tough fights right away after those brutal fights with Tyson Fury. So and I think that Deontay is still learning and still improving, in the gym. Uh, so we'll see if Anthony Joshua shows the same kind of, um, you know, uh, same kind of mettle, and who he picks the fight. I don't think Hrgovic is a real choice. I don't know, but it's obviously, it will be a big tough fight. As a boxing fan, not as a promoter of Order or Jermaine, fight with Hrgovic would be like, wow, that's a big one. Uh, Dempsey McKean is the opposite. I think that I think that Joshua can train by himself and not train and wake up and still beat Dempsey McKean. It's nothing. It doesn't show anything. And both Otto and Jermaine are tough fights.
And just the last question on this whole subject. The Daily Mail, I think it was, that released that story. The way the story is written it reads like it was an inside exclusive where they've got inside information. So, from your point, is that story true or false? From what they've actually, have you read it?
I mean, I've read quotes of it, but if it's true or false, I mean, I can only speak from where I stand. Maybe that's a decision that Team Joshua made and Matchroom, or maybe together, or maybe one side or the other. It's possible that someone leaked it. As of now, we don't have an official offer to consider. But I think both Jermaine and Otto are interested in the fight.
Thank you for that, Dmitry. I want to ask you about Claressa Shields. The UK fans are a bit unsure as to what her next career path is. There was rumours that she was going to go down back to MMA. And then obviously Savannah Marshall, it was reported that she's activated a rematch clause. There's some uncertainty whether that's true or not. So from your point of view, what is next for Claressa Shields? Is she staying in boxing, and what is next?
So what I want to say is that, as I said this so many times, I love boxing in the UK, and I'm so excited. And you know, personally, I hope that the fight that Jermaine or Otto gets the fight with AJ, and that I get a chance to go back to the UK and participate in another big fight, because there's really nothing like it. And I've experienced that with Claressa, obviously, because that was a super fight and super event. And Claressa always wants to make it the biggest and the best fights. That's what she told me. I feel like Jonas and Terry Harper are big fights for her. If Savannah's rematch does not happen, Claressa would fight Savannah right away. But I feel like for the boxing fans to get the most out of it, and for the fighters to get the most out of it, I feel like they both should have a fight in between to help build the fight again. Obviously, the fight with Claressa and Savannah was competitive, but Claressa beat Savannah 10 times out of 10 times. So, but it was a very competitive, good, exciting fight. And but Claressa's on a different level, and I think it's a great fight for women's boxing. It's a great fight for boxing, and Claressa is open to doing it again. But to say that Savannah activated the rematch clause and she's talking about venue, that's like, it's inaccurate to say I activated. It's just an inaccurate way of voicing what's happening in the situation.
So just to clarify, Claressa, if she gets the right offer for a boxing bout, she can take that next. She's not obliged to have an MMA fight first then.
Our plan is for Claressa to box in the second quarter of this year.
Great stuff. And Dmitry, I've seen I think you've done about 6 or 7 shows last year around Michigan, and I think there was some in New Jersey. What is the plan for your promotion this year? Have you got a list of dates that you're going to pan out this year as well?
Yes, we're working on some new dates. You know, towards the end of the year, we had again Claressa, Jermaine, Vladimir Shishkin won an IBF mandatory fight against Jose Euskadi that was on Showtime. That was so it was a great end to the year, but all these guys developed as a result of you know, having consistent boxing, and that's what we're working on. You know, the other thing that I want to say is that Claressa was boxer on Sky, Jermaine was Eddie and the Zone, and Shishkin was PBC and Al Heyman. So these are 3 different promoters. At times
so easy to work with. You're suggesting that you're easy to work with.
No, I say that boxing has to be inclusive, not exclusive,
yeah.
because it's important for the boxing fans to get the best fights, and it's important for the fighters to get the opportunities for their careers. And sometimes you just have to, you know, go to different places and different towns and experience these things so that the sport grows as it should.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right, 100%. I just want to ask you just a random last question. You know, in the UK we have the British title. You've seen the British title.
Mhm.
Do you have like an equivalent to that in the US?
No, I think the British title is pretty prestigious and it's like of national pride. I mean, there's the NABF and NABA and USBA and NABO, which are like
Do they
America's
have the
titles from
same?
these
Do they have
different
the same sort
organizations.
of like
I don't think
pride?
so. I think the British title is it by the British Border Controls. Is do they?
Yes.
Yes. So there's first of all, there's not a national sanctioned body here in the United States. It's all divided by state. So every state has different rules and different jurisdictions. So the New York State belt used to have some relevance, but I don't think these days it's close to what the British belt is. It's and again, it feels to me like boxing is a major sport in the UK. Is it?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, it's definitely now there's that many promoters, that many TV networks picking up boxing events.
I mean, I was with Clarissa in the airport from the press conference going back to Michigan, and people were stopping her asking for autographs, asking for pictures, just from a press conference. So it's pretty incredible that people follow the sport of boxing, and then obviously same with Jermaine, that people follow the sport of boxing and and support in such a way. It's really beautiful, and you know my driving force is my love for boxing. So I love it when there's so much energy and so much passion for the sport.
Likewise. And it's the last question I want to ask you your opinion on this, Matt. I don't know if you've seen recently where Eddie Hearn and Stephen Espinoza have had like a back and forward spat ongoing for years now. And Eddie Hearn made a comment recently where he said Gervonta Davis is not a deep thinker. And Stephen Espinoza has put a tweet out basically saying that maybe there was some sort of racial undertone to that, which obviously Eddie Hearn's come back and has not been too happy about. So I'm guessing you saw what Eddie put, but what was your opinion of what he said about Gervonta Davis not
I
being a
saw I yeah I saw the kind of the short clip. I didn't see the whole back and forth. Um, what's your question?
what's your opinion of the fact that for the start it started with Eddie saying that Gervonta Davis is a deep thinker? What did you think of that comment?
I feel like the elite fighters are very smart people, and Emmanuel Stewart uh, said that sometimes people misjudge fighters because they box, but he said that it's been my experience, and this is one of the greatest trainers of all time, one of the greatest judges of character, and he said that especially fighters are an elite level, are smart guys, and and unusually smart. So I mean, I don't know Gervonta Davis. I've never met him, been to his fight, but I see how he functions in the ring. It seems to be that he's pretty logical and sets stuff up, which means that he thinks 3 steps ahead. So I don't know Gervonta Davis. I cannot comment on him in any way. I'm a fan of his. He's a very good fighter. I'm a fan of him in the ring. Uh, he's a good fighter, and I have no control over what people say. And I don't, I believe that boxing is a very tough sport, having to do it myself, and it's very difficult and dangerous to get into the ring. Um, and I feel like I like when fighters get praise and respect and recognition for the dangerous job that they do.
Any
And
thoughts?
what about Steven? I love the fact that Steven is one of the few executives that loves the sport of boxing purely, truly loves the sport of boxing, and um, I feel like he follows the fights and follows the fighters and participates in it on a daily basis. So overall, for the sport of boxing to have someone on that level who loves the sport of boxing is only a benefit. And uh, I promoted many events on Showtime, and I have only positive things to say about the network.
Great stuff. Dmitry, I know it's late. I really appreciate your time.